When there's an injustice against you or someone you love or someone you believe in, stand up. Don't sit down on them. They need you.
Welcome to Popcorn Planet's Pop Culture Justice. I am Andy Signore, and I'm happily blocked by Bouzy. Make sure you get your Blocked by Bouzy shirts as well. But we got two special guests already in the building. What's up to Nate the lawyer and It's Kim? How you doing? Good to always have Nate. It's Kim here. But look who's here, Kim. It's Nate. How you doing, Nate?
What's going on? I'm doing all right. How you guys doing?
Oh, I'm loving this motion.
I'm great. I'm glad you're here.
This motion you filed was just a slaying that I was like, we gotta talk about this. This was just beautiful the way you've gone about it, because you really lay it out quite eloquently. And I thought, for anybody who's confused as to why Nate is suing and what's going on and what the evidence is, you really laid it out quite well in your response, which we have here. The full memorandum. How do you say that? Memorandum
of law.
Thank you. So can you set this up? So why do you need to file such a thing? All right, so walk us through legality, just for people who are unaware. What does this mean?
Yeah. So whenever you start a lawsuit, you start with a complaint and you say, hey, I'm complaining that this person did this, right? Then generally the person responds with what's known as a motion to dismiss. And what that essentially is saying is that what you're complaining about is not legally actionable, right? You can complain, but the law is not good, cannot help you recover from any of that, right? The law won't give you any money if you win. So that's what they filed. Now I filed this opposition to their motion to dismiss, saying, no, our claims are legally viable, and this is the reason why we should go to trial. So that's essentially what we're doing now.
Got it. Okay. And so he has tried to dismiss this case, right? He's trying to, there's a whole thing about New York versus New Jersey and just other things that he's trying to say here. And your whole thing really does go through quite well. In fact, I kind of want to read, we may take some of this stream to just read some of it in general, but can you give us sort of the summary for those who don't want to sit and read the whole device? Like what was your goal here to really, is this really to sort of put the case all out? Like what is the goal in writing one of these?
Well, the goal was to respond to the document that they filed. So they filed a motion, in their motion to dismiss, they really just made a couple of arguments. One of the arguments was that, and they're the standard arguments, that everything that Bouzy said was just his opinion, right? Then that he didn't know that I was actually a lawyer or not, and and because he didn't know and it was his opinion, then the First Amendment protects him. So, excuse me. So this document responds to his claims that he didn't defame me, because essentially what Bouzy is saying, he's saying I didn't defame Nate the lawyer because this was all opinion. Nate said it, and that that the things were substantially true. So this document goes through all the claims and says, no, this is what you said. This is why it's not opinion. And one of his biggest arguments is that he didn't have what's known as actual malice. He's also claiming that he didn't know any of the stuff he was saying was false when he said it. He just was saying it, even recklessly. He was saying this crazy stuff, but he didn't know it was false. And we addressed that too in this document.
Yeah, you really addressed it. Now, for those who are like, well, who is this Bouzy? What's going on? If you've not been following Nate the lawyer or our coverage of Bouzy, this Mad Meme Titan did a really great little grifter image contest that I've been seeing going around there of Bouzy. Here's with Amber and Megan. He's out there grifting for them both, in my opinion, with faulty data. Basically, it's, from my perspective, and this is my speculation, my opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever. Companies, celebrities, news outlets were employing Bot Sentinel and using Bot Sentinel to basically justify their biased research or narratives that they wanted to put out there. And Bot Sentinel was hyped as this AI, machine learning, advanced technology run by this company of Bot Sentinel, run by the amazingly tech-savvy Christopher Bouzy. And the reality is, many of us were sort of uncovering, and then now Nate has done more eloquently through his lawsuit and research. This was all a scam, in my opinion. It was he's misleading everybody. There's really no machine learning. It's just opinions. Twitter has come forward and acknowledged a lot of this. And that's what this is really about. How accurate, how honest is Bouzy being? Now, that's really what we've always been trying to sort out. But in Nate's sort of, coverage of this and responding, Bouzy made a point to come after Nate directly. Like, Bouzy did this. This wasn't like you harassed him or came at him. You reported on some things, and then out of nowhere, Next up was Nate the lawyer, which he put. And all of this is just eloquently laid out as you do it here. You explain very well. Christopher Bouzy's livelihood depends on destroying the reputation of others. Plaintiff Nathaniel Brody is every bit the man he claims to be to his hundreds of thousands of YouTube fans, a lawyer, former prosecutor, criminal defense attorney, and former cop who came up from the streets and tells his viewers like it is. His livelihood, therefore, depends on his reputation.
Now, that's important.
Yeah, go ahead.
That first paragraph is important because what it does, it establishes that if you're now telling people I'm lying about my background, because that's all I got, right? In YouTube, just imagine if my YouTube viewers believed that I was lying about being a cop, being a prosecutor, and being a lawyer, that I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose my livelihood. So that's what that's supposed to establish, that, hey, my reputation for these things matters financially. And that's one of the elements that you have to prove in defamation, that you've been, that he's hurt me. Also, he's going to hurt me financially with these defamatory comments.
Yeah, you can't
That's
just go out
completely fair.
Yeah,
completely fair.
Yes, there's exactly. So, defendant Christopher Bouzy, on the other hand, has no reputation to protect and little to lose by defaming a man who does. Bouzy is a social media personality best known for a series of dubious online adventures, from crypto scams to phony software pitches, and most recently a program called Bot Sentinel that holds itself as the definitive gatekeeper of appropriate internet discourse. Bot Sentinel ranks Twitter users and provides subscribers with tools from blocking the toxic ones based on what Bouzy describes as leading edge machine learning technology. Algorithm that identifies Twitter trolls, accounts that operate mainly to harass, ridicule, and frequently defame. There is ample proof that Bot Sentinel's social credit scores are the products, not of the rigorous algorithm Bouzy claims for them, but of views and people Bouzy does and does not like. And as a vocal skeptic of Bot Sentinel, and perhaps also a reminder of everything Bouzy is not in terms of character, hard work and personal achievement, ba-boom, damn. Bouzy does not like Brody, a former policeman, prosecutor, and criminal defense lawyer who makes the majority of his living as a YouTube streamer under the name Nate the Lawyer. Bouzy thus thrusts aside Bot Sentinel's flimsy curtain, and in turn, whose irony was lost on no one but himself, proceeded to give the internet a free masterclass on nasty, personal, and racially infused internet trolling aimed at Mr. Brody, from accusations of race treason, despite the fact that both he and Mr. Brody are African Americans with liberal political bent, to cruel mockery of Mr. Brody's humble origins as the child of a drug addict, and former through a series of false and defamatory attacks on Mr. Brody. Bouzy showed everyone exactly what social media toxicity is all about. I mean, can we get an amen? This is just amazingly
whole thing,
Tim.
all of it. It's just fantastic. I have to say, I was watching your stream earlier, Nate, where you went over this a bit, and the entire time you were reading this, I was just like screaming.
Well, I gotta give. I gotta give credit. I can't take credit for this. This is all Ron Coleman and the people at the law group, the Dillon Law Group. Those people, they put this together. Ron has a way with words, and again, that's the reason why we hired them, because they this is what they do. So
yeah.
No, I wish I could take credit for it, but these are all Ron's words. So thank you, Ron Coleman.
Man, Ron,
Fantastic.
Bravo! And you need to buy this guy a drink when this case is over. My goodness, what a just everything we wanted to say to this guy.
But it's even like the first sentence of that. I think it's the second paragraph where he just says, like, Bouzy, on the other hand, does not have a reputation.
That's what we're saying. This is about a slaying. I can't think of a better definition of slaying one's opponent. It keeps going. Admitting that his campaign against Mr. Brody was intended to destroy his reputation, credibility, and career, Bouzy started what must have seemed the definitive coup de main. Bouzy announced on Twitter that his own intrepid research had uncovered the fact that famous YouTuber Nate the Lawyer, whose livelihood depends on his identity as a lawyer, was no lawyer at all. Twitter users quickly demonstrated, however, that only a bit of competent investigation established that Mr. Brody, in fact, was a member of the New York bar. Instead of admitting to negligence or incompetence, however, Bouzy publicly stated that of course he knew all along that Mr. Brody was a lawyer, but said he had purposely lied when he claimed otherwise. This, he explained, was a deep stretch of internet politic. Those who know, he assured his followers, would understand it. Go ahead, Nate, clarify that.
No. That essentially is defamation. per se, right?
He knew.
I say he's not a lawyer. I say he's lying about it, everything, and then you come on and say, well, you knew the truth and you said it anyway. You know, again, that's as simple as it gets. And again, Bouzy, I think sometimes he just tries to just respond to stuff instead of thinking. He responded to this by saying, literally, he's responding saying, yeah, I defamed the guy. I said he wasn't a lawyer. I said he wasn't this. I said he's lying about those credentials. And instead of him just saying, now this is where admitting negligence would have worked. He could have said, okay, listen, I made a mistake. I couldn't find him. My bad. Instead, he wanted to say, no, I already knew that he was a lawyer. I already knew his real name. I already knew all this stuff. But then I said it anyway because I didn't want to, what did he say? He didn't want to be accused of doxing. Well, that gives you your course of action. That shows us that he knew what he was saying was false and said it anyway. Defamation per se.
Yeah, he knows exactly. You clarify here as we continue. Emboldened by his ability to seemingly get away with saying whatever he thought would harm, Bouzy then published a series of even more damning but also false and defamatory tweets. Bouzy took to Twitter and made the scandalous and fantastic claim that Mr. Brody had, during his career as a cop, planted and falsified evidence on criminal drug suspects. Bouzy knew that this lie would render Bouzy unreliable as a source of criminal law and social commentary on YouTube. It was a lie, however, and Mr. Brody immediately demanded his retraction, but Bouzy has never been held accountable in his decades of lying on the internet. Brilliant. And was not about to start now. He did not merely refuse to retract those false claims. He dared Mr. Brody to sue him for defamation. Mr. Brody's hand was forced. I love this. Faced with the facts, Bouzy's motion is long and misguided legal theorizing, but short on confronting the defamatory nature of those well-placed allegations. Bouzy's motion to dismiss should be denied. So then you go through and really label out bit by bit all the things that he said, which was and reading it again, because I knew all this, but reading it again, I mean, what is he thinking? This is not a good, he's gonna lose this. These are like the definition of defamation. I even sent this to Christopher Melcher. I was trying to get him on to do it. And he's like, yeah, Nate's got a pretty good case here. It's just like unbelievable. Yeah.
Right? Like, what's left?
Just to say that you didn't lie, right? That's what he said. He said, I didn't lie. He said, now he's telling the court he didn't lie. And he was mistaken when he said it. And he was just, off the cuff. And nobody understood him to be saying that he knew, So again, but it's there though. It's there. And as you'll see, go to the second part with Bouzy. Don't read the part about me because it's just about me being great.
Yeah, no, I was pure internet scamming. I love this.
Yeah.
Defendant Christopher Bouzy is a serial failed entrepreneur, and in the opinion of many, a serial successful swindler. He is, and I love you source. I guess you can find.
Yeah, that's sourced it. Yeah.
Yeah, he is the CEO of Bot Sentinel, a domestic for-profit corporation of the state of New Jersey. Before Bot Sentinel, Bouzy tried and failed to start and operate several businesses, all of which had been lambasted online as scams or confidence games. Whoo! He's like a carnival barker. Bot Sentinel, which at the time of this writing had only one employee, the defendant, claims that it uses machine learning to detect Twitter troll bots or bots, which it defines as human-controlled accounts who exhibit toxic troll-like behavior. Twitter, however, is not convinced that Bot Sentinel uses any such machine learning. In response to Bot Sentinel's claim, Twitter officials have written that Bot Sentinel appears simply to direct a human to look at an account using the same public information available to any average user, and then identifies characteristics such as the account name, level of tweeting, location in the bio, hashtags used to guess whether the account is a bot. Twitter believes that Bot Sentinel's binary judgments of who's a bot or not have a real potential to poison our public discourse. I mean,
that's
damn.
Twitter.
That's
Twitter.
The place that he's using the machine learning on, right? And they're saying this is nonsense.
Twitter.
Come sue me. So you think he was just calling your bluff?
I think he was. I think when we said, we're going to sue, he kept saying, oh, there's no way this guy's going to sue. It's just not going to happen. And now he's standing with a lawsuit. And now he's trying to figure out, like, my God, what the hell happened? So,
and then you get into
Johnny
Depp's ex-wife, movie star Amber Heard, hired Bot Sentinel to combat negative online comments during the defamation trial, which resulted in substantial plaintiff defamation verdict in Depp's favor. Once Bouzy learned of the law tuber's criticism, not only of Heard's legal team, but also of the widely reported claims in media sympathetic to Heard that Bot Sentinel had detected widespread troll bot activity coordinated to attack Heard on social media, Bouzy put Mr. Brody in his sights, tweeting, "Next up, Nate the lawyer. He went from being the son of two crackheads," his words, "a drug dealer," his words, "a cop, and a prosecutor to attacking journalists and me on social media. You would think someone with a law enforcement background would know better." Bouzy did not explain why someone with a law enforcement background would know better than to criticize him or journalists that are protected by the First Amendment. That tweet alone was so offensive and trolly, and you continue to go on. His defamatory campaign against Nate on September 17th with an attack on his credentials, falsely claiming that Nate the lawyer was lying about being a licensed attorney. He complained that YouTube did not verify those who claimed to have professional licenses, who actually did. Bouzy claimed to have proved that Mr. Brody was not a lawyer based on his failure to find Mr. Brody on an online New York attorney database. As it turned out, though, Bouzy was not searching for Mr. Brody's correct name, which Bouzy subsequently inexplicably admitted that he expected was the case. Undeterred by having his fantastic but utterly erroneous public claim about Mr. Brody disproved, Bouzy doubled down in his strategy of just making things up about Mr. Brody and tweeting them. Yes, Bouzy admitted he had been wrong when he said that Mr. Brody was not a lawyer, but he said Mr. Brody was lying about having been a prosecutor. And then here you go, you have our first sort of proof of what these tweets were that were calling this problem. "Oh, you may be unable to read between the lines. I already had the information and was waiting for someone else to tweet it so I wouldn't be accused of doxing. Reread the thread." So again, this is just, he's so dumb. He thinks he's so smart. He's acknowledging here that he knows well and good that he lied, and he did that to dox. It doesn't make sense. Regardless of whatever his intentions are, he's acknowledging he knew you were a lawyer, but still chose to lie about it. Isn't that with malicious intent?
That is malicious. That's exactly what malicious intent is. And it's interesting because this tweet gives you everything. It gives you motive. It gives you intent. His motive was not to be accused of doxing or violating Twitter's rules. There's the doxing. And he says that he knew the information. Now, he's trying to make it seem to the audience that, hey, I already knew the information, but I was playing this game. But the game he was playing was defamation. That's the game he was playing.
Man, caught lying about Mr. Brody's credentials and work history, Bouzy moved on to accusing Mr. Brody of being racist. He traversed from a race to criminality, stating that as a police officer, he had planted evidence on innocent criminal suspects. Bouzy continued by claiming with no bias that many innocent people's lives were ruined because of Mr. Brody's felony. Bouzy insisted that Mr. Brody's law license should be suspended. Problem with this brazen statement of the felonious conduct was that Mr. Brody never admitted that he planted evidence on unsuspecting suspects. Bouzy conceded this point when he later attempted to justify his outrageous statement, arguing that Mr. Brody must have planted evidence because he said as a former police officer, he knew all the tricks from when he was a police officer. Man, what a jump to conclusions there, Nate. He must have known just because he knew the tricks. So therefore I'm allowed to just guess.
I could just say he did it. He did it. And it gets even worse because, again, and I think this is the problem with Bouzy. Bouzy gets too emotional. And he started saying that and you'll read it, I think, in the next paragraph, where he starts claiming that I planting evidence before I was I'm in high school or something like that. Like, it's crazy. It's just like, really? So.
Yeah, he fell for it. After I published the video of him admitting he planted evidence on innocent people, he went to YouTube for the grift. Wow. It's like he's knocking your credibility. You have to respond. You're addressing it as he's out there doing this, and he's not correcting it.
No.
This is about, this is defamation that you're not, and you have every right to go out there and correct him, and he refuses to acknowledge it.
Yes.
It's wild.
Scroll down. Let me see. Not to this one.
He made claims.
Is it this one to the next one? Scroll down to the next one.
Why isn't he lying to his followers? When I was in my early 20s, I was building networks and servers. While he was planning evidence on innocent suspects. Like, what a scumbag!
Start from the beginning. Bouzy then made a more specific false allegation. Instead of claiming Mr. Brody said he planted evidence, like we were saying before, as an officer in a video, Bouzy next claimed that Mr. Brody planted evidence before he was in law enforcement.
Yeah, while I was in my early 20s, I was building networks and servers for high schools while he was planting evidence on innocent suspects.
Yeah, that was, and he put this up.
And then he wanted to help his community. You weren't helping, Nate. You were planting evidence, I assume, because you knew the tricks of the trade.
But and the weird part about it is that, and read this next paragraph because it tells you exactly how he even knew it was false.
Bouzy knew this claim was false, but posted anyway. Bouzy knew Mr. Brody did not work in law enforcement at that time, early 2000s, because Bouzy had posted the Mr. Brody's work history. He did, and he claimed all Mr. Brody's background information. Bouzy knew that he was not employed as a law enforcement officer at that time, and thus it was impossible for him to plant evidence on suspects as a member of law enforcement because he was not yet in law enforcement at that time. His false statement amassed 651 likes, which shows at least 651 people in all probability, far more saw it. Yeah, so he's just, again, I'll just say it, and it doesn't matter because it's my opinion. Is what he's trying to? Is that what he's trying to say?
He's trying to say, yeah. It's his opinion. It's his opinion that before I was a cop, I was planting evidence on suspects as a cop. That's his opinion. It's like, what?
MBJ. No. MBJ, thank you for the 5 Bouzy bucks. Keep the Bouzy bucks coming, Bouzy bucks. But for our first 5 Bouzy bucks, knowing the trick sounds like he might have a dirty past himself. Exactly. If anybody knows the tricks, it sounds like a little bit of projection there to me, Nate and Kim. My goodness, Colonel Flustered. Oh, I love that name. Colonel Flustered, not Colonel Mustard. Just lost my job. Oh, I'm sorry. So I can't afford more, but I wanted to thank you for all making my smile daily. Oh, well, I hope you find something. I'm sure you will. Thank you for that. Please don't feel obligated if you've lost your job. My goodness. But I appreciate your support and watching. At least everybody hit that like button and go subscribe to Nate the Lawyer. And it's Kim. And throw your support any other way you can. Appreciate you both. But keep the Bouzy bucks coming. Because he watches these streams. He has to. Yeah. So anyway, then Mr. Bouzy's counsel served Bouzy with the demand letter to delete the defamatory tweets and retract the statements. The letter reiterated that Mr. Brody never planted evidence. It also demanded retractions of Bouzy's defamatory statements. It was never a prosecutor, that he falsified evidence, and that he was stealing money donated for legal fees in connection with this matter. After receiving the demand letter, Mr. Brody ran to Twitter to announce that he would not comply with Mr.
I think they switched the names. It's supposed to be Mr. Bouzy.
They got this one.
Yeah.
Bouzy ran to Twitter to announce that he would not comply with his demands, that he retract his false statements. Let's make this easy for everyone. I have received, I'm sure he's going to use this against you. Be prepared. Oh, the whole thing's void because there's one typo. Get ready. That'll be his whole argument now. Damn it. That's the only thing he's got. He'll try to justify it, but we all know what it meant. Christopher Bouzy, let's make this easy for everyone. I have received the demand letter, and on behalf of Bot Sentinel and myself, we will not comply. I love if there's a we, as if there's a we. Do you know? Well, I'll show you the we in a second. So let's fast forward to you filing the lawsuit, the judge laughing you out of court, and me proving LawTube shouldn't be taken seriously. He's got a whole plan in his mind. What do you think, Nate?
Well, again, I think Bouzy, unfortunately, Bouzy has a history. He does this to everybody that pushes back on him. He just goes out to defames. And let's not forget what he's just been doing to Marco, who found, for those of you who don't know, Spoutable, this idiot forgot to change the default setting on his new fake Twitter. And he literally published all of his users' IP addresses and personal emails. And then a guy comes on and tells him, hey, you forgot to change it from the default option. You got to remove that because all these people's information is out there. He then doxes the guy. So this is the way he does it, and then calls the guy a stalker and a scammer and all this other stuff. So his response to any criticism is to defame, to dox, and then to try to pretend. But the problem is that he's finally run up against us, who now are saying, well, hey, no, you can't just do this. There's going to be some consequences to this, and now he has to handle the consequences. So,
hey, you are a bully. We are Bot Sentinel, and you cannot stop us. Our data is machine learning. I've learned all of the machines, and we are accurate. Please help me, Nate. I'm begging you.
Listen, Joint Spoutable. Joint
Spoutable. Please.
It's always fun to find a Bot Sentinel showing up on the show.
Bravo, Andy.
I think that's the we.
Beautiful performance.
The we is Bouzy wearing a Bot Sentinel mask. But yeah, I mean, that's again. Then he basically said, "Sue me. I'm not going to retract." And so you're like, okay, you're not even like you tried to stop this. You tried to avoid it, and there you go. He then also published more tweets claiming that Mr. Brody planted evidence when he was a police officer. So he's continued to defame you even after this, which is super malicious. He's acknowledged, he knows, you've made it clear it's not true, and he continues to double down on it, which I imagine legally does not help his case, correct?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And again, you can tell if you, like I say, if you were to read his brief, it's the same stuff. It's essentially he's saying that he was incompetent. And when he said all these things, like, I said them, but yeah, I didn't really mean it. I didn't know any of this stuff was untrue. You know, please, I'm protected by the First Amendment. But obviously, when you see the tweets for yourself and you understand it, it's clear that not only did he know, he said it anyway, and in terms to try to harm my reputation and try to harm my business. And that's the problem when you do it, and when you say I'm not who I say I am, when you say I didn't achieve the stuff that I achieved, then unfortunately that sometimes is actionable, and I think in this case it is, and we're going to we're going to play it out. I think the next, if you scroll down a little bit, there's another section where where you'll see scroll up a little bit. I mean, scroll down, keep scrolling down. I'll tell you when to stop. There's a section where it's got a whole bunch of a list of.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Hold on, it's near the end, I think. Just not going too fast. Bear with us.
Yeah, because it's because he is just going through the heavy law stuff, which again, I was on my stream. I was like, I know people are not going to lose.
There we go. Right.
Yeah. So this is a timeline of the tweets that again, Bouzy saying that he didn't know anything about my path. He didn't know nothing. But here's how Ron puts it down, because Ron says, okay, here it is. Here's the timeline of events. This is what you said and when you said it, and this is why all this is defamatory. Because again, Bouzy's saying all of this, everything you're reading here, was just opinion.
And and all these tweets obviously can be provided are there, so they know this is all accurate. But yeah, I can't find his law license, bar association number. YouTube should verify professionals' license before allowing them to claim they are doctors or lawyers.
Now, mind you,
or Bouzy or data specialist.
now remember, at this point, he says he already knows that I'm a lawyer, and this is what he's saying.
So he's lying. He couldn't locate. He knows he's a lawyer, but he didn't want to say it. But he's now can't find this, and he should verify things. Again, all of these tweets. Third tweet saying it's interesting. There's no history of him practicing law anywhere. Maybe the name that he's using isn't his real name. All these again lies. Fourth tweet notes that Mr. Brody's YouTube channel does not list where Mr. Brody is practicing law. Fifth tweet knocks his spelling. Sixth tweet promotes the articles in which Bouzy was featured. Seventh tweet accuses Bouzy of deflecting. His eighth tweet is does that mean you? Is this another?
I think Brody, yeah.
Brody and Bouzy. I understand why that's Brody of deflecting. His eighth tweet is a screenshot of a comment from a Twitter follower. His ninth tweets that he cannot find Mr. Brody in the New York attorney database, that Mr. Brody might want to retain a lawyer. His 10th tweet, as expected, it wasn't his real name. He was admitted to the bar in 2016. Not sure why he's using a completely different name. And then his third tweet acknowledges that maybe Nate Brody isn't his real name. Nevertheless, in his ninth tweet, relying on his attorney search using the name Bouzy, he knows Bouzy might know his real name. Bouzy suggests that Mr. Brody lawyer up because he's not an attorney and falsely claiming he is. This is the 10th tweet. Bouzy confirms that he expected that Nate was not his real name. Bouzy again confirms that he expected that Nate was not Mr. Brody's real name, but insists that he was never a prosecutor. On the same day, Bouzy admits to already having Mr. Brody's information and references back to his maybe he isn't using his real name tweet. Putting aside Bouzy that he tweeted already accurate information, had accurate information that he could have used to confirm his attorney licensure status, Bouzy's haphazard investigation into the truth or falsity of his weighty charge was not reasonable and indeed constituted a reckless disregard for the truth. There was no urgency to the tweets to such that Bouzy could not have delayed to further investigate. There was no evidence or evident interest among the public for Bouzy to publish the tweets. There was only Bouzy's animosity towards Mr. Brody and the damage to a lawyer and legal commentator when it announced to hundreds of thousands of people that he is not a lawyer and lied that he was great and should have caused Bouzy to make minimal attempt to satisfy himself as to the truth before tweeting the results of his supposed research. So again, this again shows actual malice. Really well done. I mean, I don't know how he's going to beat this.
Well, we'll see. They have a response on the 26th. We'll see. You know, because I want to make it very clear to the audience and even to my audience that lawsuits are unpredictable, right? You just don't know, right? All of this seems great to us, and we think we have a great shot, but we don't. But you know, like for instance, there's been cases where all of us, I think Kim Potter's one of them, where all of us saw the legal issue, and all of us said this is going to go the other way, and it went the opposite way. Johnny Depp, for instance, a lot of people are saying, well, Bouzy says, oh, well, it was just an opinion, and a lot of people falsely think that you can't sue for defamation over an opinion, but that's just false. And one of the biggest defamation cases we ever heard of was literally an opinion that the person sued over defamation. Amber Heard's piece in the Washington Post was under the opinion section. It was literally an opinion piece. It was said it was an opinion, but because the court found it to be false and defamatory, and she has to pay she had to pay $10 million. She was getting judgment of $10 million. So just because you quote something in a question or you say it's your opinion doesn't mean it saves you from it being defamatory. So even if Mr. Bouzy pretends that these were his opinions, the fact of the matter is he knew that these were false and he said them anyway. And the way we know that is because he said it. He said he knew the statements were false.
Yeah, we got also Steph to the mix. What's up, Steph? Has joined.
Hey up, everyone.
Steph.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
We can.
Yeah,
Hope you're recouping
what's up?
okay.
Hi. Yes, I'm for those that don't know, I'm recovering from a viral infection. No, it's not the Rona, but I'm sounding even weirder than before. Yes, I know. You all hate me Yorkshire accent. Well,
No, we love it.
No, we love it.
We don't.
get used to this for a
Yeah.
couple of weeks, according to
But,
the doctor, but we'll see.
I wanted to go to
Nate.
you and Kim. Yeah, what do you think of Nate's work here? And this thing is pretty slaying, huh?
I've read it all, and publicly just to congratulate you on such a well drafted legal document. I remember asking you, is this on purpose in terms of the language, the vernacular? Because when you normally read a legal document like this, there's so much legal jargon, right? It's to be kind of expected. Here, though, it's very easy to read, even to a dumbass like me, right? And I asked, is it because you're very mindful of, the audience, us that's backing you as well, that you want us to understand it as well? And you said yes, and you've continued with that, with your response to continue with the motion. So yeah, like props to you, and hopefully his motion to dismiss is denied. And then we can just go full steam ahead, baby. I'm waiting for the discovery, baby. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm
And
waiting for that.
the great part about it is that we got two bites at this Discovery Apple, right? We got the Discovery Apple with Samantha Markle's case, and then we got the Discovery Apple with this one. So we have two bites. So hopefully one pans out. But I think hopefully everybody will stay tuned, because I don't think this is going to be disappointing. I think we got a real good shot here. And again, big up to Ron Coleman, because he's the one that writes it. And again, he writes this, but he's been doing this for 30, 40 years or whatever. So, but he writes this with that keen eye to say, okay, I'm not only writing it for the court, I'm writing it for the people. Because again, when we talked about it, we need to be able to have people who can read it to be able to understand it outside of the legal system. So it had to be kind of that fine, but then you hire someone like Ron, who's been doing this for 40 years and can easily write it up and make it very understandable on the legal instance, but then somebody can just pick it up and understand, okay, this is where they're going with this.
And he is absolute masterful at this. It takes a master, high-level intelligence to draft a legal document like this. This is not simple. This is extremely calculated, well thought through. And if no one is doing so already, do follow Ron Coleman on Twitter. Oh my goodness, dude has got some sass. I love his sass. I love Ron Coleman's sass. Ron, if you are watching, I'm at Steph Alternerd. If you want to follow back, I'd be extremely honored, dude. I'm simping for Ron right now. I don't care. He's got some sass, and I'm like here for it all day long. Absolutely. Bouzy won't know what's hit him by the time it's at car, I'm sure. But
Did you have any thoughts, Kim?
Ahead.
Anything you want to add?
Kind of similar to Steph, one of the things I love so much about the way that this is written is that it is easy to follow. I think anybody right now who's following the Murdoch case, one of the biggest criticisms people are having right now with the prosecution is the jumping around of how they are explaining this case. And it makes it very difficult for people to have a timeline, to understand when things happen, to put things into context. This idea that when you look at it, of he's going, well, yeah, I was wrong about that, but then this, but I was also wrong about that, but then this, but then I actually knew I was wrong about that, but still this. And it's like, it just shows how ridiculous this whole thing is. And I'm happy that, you've been able to fight back against this, because I think you deserve better. I hate how he bullied you. It infuriates me. And I think it would be very silly to throw this out at this point. That's my opinion, but I guess we'll see. It's up to the powers that be.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the way the law works. And you know, like we were even talking about. Let's say if the case is dismissed, I don't think any fair-minded person can read through these documents and say, well, this should have been dismissed, or this should, you know, it's like it just is what it is. But again, you know, we can only do what's legally right and put our best effort forward and hope for the best. And you know, and put the chips where they may. And sometimes, unfortunately, we live in a world where sometimes justice doesn't come. But that doesn't mean you don't try. And we saw that with Johnny Depp, because he could have gave up after the after the UK thing, right? He could have just gave up and said, "Oh my God, I'm not going to do it." But that's not. It's not about the outcome. It's about the journey. And if we continue to push and continue to push and continue to push, then we will get justice. It's not about getting it now. It's about eventually getting it. So people don't give up, even if things look at its bleakest. Continue to move forward. I think it's a Rocky quote, right? It's not about how hard you can get hit, but it's not how hard you can hit, but how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. And he hit me, but I'm still moving forward.
Adrian! I think the better Rocky quote for you to say to Bouzy, I must break you. It's coming.
Well, with that, I put that. I go pick up my kids.
We are going to break you.
Guys, so much. Oh my God!
Thank you for coming on,
you,
guys.
Nate.
Follow
Thank you,
Nate the
Nate.
Lawyer
Cheers,
on
Nate.
his updates on this. You can go to Nate the Lawyer on YouTube, Nate the Lawyer on Locals, Rockfin, and Twitter. Go find him and support him. Always a pleasure, Nate. Keep the fight going. An amazing show once again. If you haven't already, hit that join button for the full show. Make sure you support It's Kim, Steph the Alternate, and Louis Lecca over at Nerd Report as they bring you more coverage. And we'll be back again tomorrow with more amazing news and coverage for you as always. Thank you guys so much for watching. We do have another video we'll be loading in a little bit. In about 20 minutes, refresh Popcorn Planet. If you're not getting the alerts, check it out. We will see you guys there. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you're subscribed, getting those notifications. Hit that bell. I gotta readjust my video. It's just, there it is. Hit the bell, hit the like, there it is, and smash that like button, that notification for all alerts and everything else. And then meanwhile, head on over to Nerd Report while you wait, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye, everybody!